Ace. Good afternoon. I want to share with you my devotion from this morning. And my devotion had two parts. First, I did the Sabbath school lesson, and then after that, I read from this book, which is called The Invitation by Alejandro Bouillon. His works are works that I really enjoy very much. I like his style of writing. I like the way that he tells stories. I like the way that he explains doctrines. And so I find that his work blesses me very much. And so the first thing I wanted to share with you was something from the Sabbath school lesson. I read a story which is at the end of the week called The Inside Story, if you're not familiar with it. And the first story comes from the island of Haiti, where my parents are from. And the story was the story of a woman named Etienne. Now, Etienne did not believe in God, and she ended up staying with a Christian family because she was homeless and that was her only alternative. She went to church with them every week just to please them because she did not want to get kicked out of the house for being insubordinate or being rebellious against their house rules, so she just went to church with them. And so when she went to church, she heard a woman preaching the gospel to her, and it touched her heart, but she wasn't so sure about giving her life to Jesus Christ. And so what happened was on January 10th, 2010, a giant earthquake, the 12th of January 2010, a giant earthquake shook Haiti and destroyed the entire home where she and the family where she was living with stayed. And so they left the house right before the home collapsed, and she looked back and she said, "Look, God has spared me. Even though I'm homeless again, God has saved my life." And so she knew that for God to spare her life, that she could trust him even though she was homeless, and she could trust him and give her life to him. And so the first point I want to make is that it's amazing to me how an earthquake, the biggest disaster to ever befall this small country, actually brought someone to Christ. And so it goes to show that whatever trials you have going on in your life, God can and will use them for a blessing. The second story is the story of a lady named Lucia. She's from Central America. And what happened to her was she married a young rebel of a man who contracted AIDS and gave it to her. It's a very sad story, and in the midst of her rage, in the midst of everything that was going on, she actually shot her husband 6 times. Now, the interesting thing was God used her prison sentence when she was in prison to lead her to the Bible, to lead her to Jesus Christ. And a man named Ricardo came to study with her, and he started to study with her about the judgment and to show that despite the fact that she was found guilty by the court, despite the fact that she shot her husband, despite the fact that she married a man against her parents' wishes, which led to her contracting AIDS, Jesus Christ wanted to be her defense attorney and deliver her from all guilt, to deliver her from all condemnation. And so she found this to be good news. And so even though she appealed the ruling that sent her to jail, while she was in the midst of the ruling, she was passing away. And before she lost consciousness, she told everyone in the room, her family members, who she was encouraging in the midst of her trials, that she can see the angels in white robes, that she could see Jesus Christ opening up the book of judgment and going to her name and say, in the case of Lucia, she is acquitted. And so there is good news that despite the biggest earthquake to happen in a country's history, despite a woman through no fault of her own contracting AIDS, God was able to save lives, deliver people for all eternity, and acquit them of all sin, of all iniquity, and all unrighteousness for eternity. And so if the same could be true for Etienne, if the same could be true for Lucia, what about you? Jesus Christ is willing to be your defense attorney just like them. And so I encourage you that if you have not already accepted him, to accept him today. And if you have accepted him already, be renewed in your assurance that you are saved by the blood of Jesus Christ. Have a great day, and God bless you.